I was never supposed to come back to Halcyon Park. Not after the summer of '02. Not after what we saw that night, or what we lost. But 15 years is a long time to bury things, and some part of me, maybe the dumb, stubborn part, believed that if I came back, I could finally let it go. Prove to myself it was all just a story, my scared teenage brain twisted into a monster. But I was wrong. God, I was so wrong. The return to Halcyon Park was one of those mid-tier amusement parks tucked off a forgotten highway in upstate New York. Not a big corporation, not mom and pop, just old. You could smell the rust before you saw it, and when you finally did see it, peeking out of the forest like a haunted fairy tale, it looked like time had folded itself over and trapped it in the wrong decade. In the summer of '02, I was 17. My best friends, Marcus, Danny, and Jordan, convinced me to sneak into Halcyon after dark. Urban legends swirled around it back then. Kids talked about rides that moved on their own, faces in the funhouse mirrors that didn't belong, a Ferris wheel that turned at night with no one inside. We laughed it off. We were just there for a thrill, some beer, maybe a few blurry Polaroids of us being stupid teenagers, but only 3 of us came back. Jordan was never seen again. Now 15 years later, Halcyon Park is a carcass, abandoned, condemned, but the fences around it are weak, and the padlocks on the gates are cheap. I brought a flashlight, a GoPro, and a bottle of bourbon, half for courage, half for remembering. It was exactly as I remembered. Warped wood walkways, overgrown cotton candy stands, rides frozen in time. The Ferris wheel, motionless, loomed against the gray sky, like a skeleton trying to remember how to move. I walked toward the funhouse first. I don't know why, maybe because that's where Jordan last was when we heard him scream, or maybe because something inside me knew I wouldn't leave this place again. The funhouse, the door creaked open with the push of a finger. The air smelled of mildew, old grease, and something sweet, like rotting sugar. The mirrors inside were cracked and blackened, the kind that don't reflect you so much as they show you what could go wrong. I stood in front of one, with jagged edges, and held up my flashlight. My reflection didn't move. I tilted my head. He stared straight forward, then he smiled. I dropped the flashlight. The beam spun wildly as it hit the ground, catching flashes of movement between the mirrors, faces, maybe, or fragments of mine. I don't know. I grabbed the flashlight and ran, but as I turned to leave, something scraped along the floor behind me. Not footsteps, like wheels. The laughing ride I followed the sound. The wooden planks creaked with each step. My breath steamed in the cold night air, and then I saw it. The ride was called the Whirligig Clown Coaster, a short squeaky track meant for toddlers. Bright colors faded to ash. The clown's face at the front of the car smeared and weather-beaten, its paint peeling like sunburned flesh. The thing moved, not fast, just a slow jerk forward, then another, like something was pushing it from behind, but no one was there. Then the speakers above the ride crackled to life. Step right up, step right in, take a ride beneath the skin. Static, then silence. The air was too still, the kind of silence you feel in your teeth. Then the clown's painted mouth creaked open, not a mechanism, not animatronics. The paint split like it was peeling away from something alive underneath, and from the mouth came a whisper, "You left him here." The Ferris wheel. By the time I reached the Ferris wheel, the bourbon was gone. My hands shook too badly to film anything with the GoPro, but it didn't matter. The camera had stopped working halfway through the funhouse. The screen just showed static, and sometimes a shadow behind me that wasn't there when I turned around. The Ferris wheel was already turning, slow, creaking, groaning, under its own rusted weight. One cart was swinging gently, number 9, the same one we dared Jordan to sit in that night, 15 years ago. He'd laughed, he wasn't scared, he waved at us from the top, and then the lights went out, and the screaming started. We thought it was part of the ride, part of the fun. We didn't know, we didn't understand, not until the lights came back on, and the cart was empty. The voice, as I approached the ride, my flashlight, flickered again, then it died completely. I heard breathing, right next to me, but the air didn't move, and then a voice, whisper thin, like it came through a cassette player, buried underground. He never left, none of them do. The ride stopped, the cart at the top began to swing, something was inside, it slowly descended, cart by cart, until number 9 creaked to a halt right in front of me. I couldn't help it. I looked, inside the cart, it was empty, at first, then I saw the initials carved into the seat, JM, Jordan Myers. I reached out, and touched the metal. It was warm, too warm, and then I heard him, not with my ears, with my bones. Caleb, why didn't you stay? His voice, older, tired. Something moved behind me, but I couldn't look. I was frozen. The air around me grew thick, pressing in on my skull, like deep ocean pressure, and then, the cart rocked, hard, like something had jumped in. The ride begins. The Ferris wheel jerked into motion. I tried to back away, but my legs weren't mine anymore. My body climbed into cart 9, as if something else was pulling the strings. I sat, the lap bar slammed down on its own. The wheel turned, up, around, higher, until the park looked like a wound below me. I saw the fun house, the clown coaster, the carousel, and something else. People, not alive, reflections. They stood between the rides, dozens of them, watching the wheel, watching me, their faces blurred, except one, Jordan. He looked up at me, expressionless, and mouthed something. I didn't understand at first, but as the cart creaked at the top and stopped, I did. The trade, it's your turn. A roar like thunder broke behind my eyes. I looked down, my hands weren't mine anymore, too pale, too thin, too dead. Something stepped out of me, something using my body like a costume. It turned, smiled, and climbed out of the cart. I screamed, but no sound came out, just echoes, just rust. Now I don't know how long I've been here. Time doesn't move in Halcyon Park, not like it used to. The wheel keeps turning. I keep riding. Cart 9, forever circling a night that never ends. Sometimes, new faces come to the gate, drawn here by rumors, stories, dares. One day someone else will take my place, and when they do, I'll finally go home. Until then, if you see a cart swinging by itself, don't get in, don't look in the mirrors, and for God's sake, don't smile back at the clown. Part 2. The Lost Faces of Halcyon. The horror continues. I thought death would be silence. Instead, it's music. Old Calliope tunes play over the park's broken speakers, on a loop so warped, it's like listening through water. But it's not just sound, it's intentional. A taunt. Every spin around the Ferris wheel, I see more of them. The watchers, dozens now, maybe hundreds. They stand like mannequins, frozen in place, some in mid-step, some mid-scream. Their faces are pale, glassy, some are smeared, distorted like melted wax. Others wear faces I know. Marcus, Danny, even my father, who died years before I ever came here. And every time the wheel turns, more faces appear in the crowd below, all staring up at me, as if waiting, as if I'm next. Another visitor arrives tonight. I saw something new. A flashlight beam cut through the mist like a blade. I saw it through the rusted spokes of the wheel. Someone had climbed the fence. A man, mid-30s, nervous, holding a camera, dressed like a ghost hunter or a YouTuber. I would have laughed if I still had a throat. He stopped at the carousel, touched one of the horses. It moved, jerked, like something had woken up inside it. The music changed, abruptly. Do you know what rides alone? Do you know what brings the bones? The man froze. Then the horse turned its head, screamed in a voice that didn't belong to anything born of flesh. He ran, but not fast enough. The callers, they came from the shadows. Tall things, pale and thin, dressed in shredded uniforms from a time before color photography. Their mouths hung open, as if mid-laugh, but no sound came out. They don't chase, they walk, and the park rearranges itself to trap you. The man turned left, toward the exit. The exit was gone. In its place, the hall of faces, the hall of faces, the hall of faces. It didn't exist when I was alive. I think the park builds itself from our fears, grows new rides the way mold grows on flesh. The hall of faces was a long hallway, lined with masks, carnival masks, animal heads, porcelain doll visages, each more grotesque than the last. The man stumbled inside. The doors slammed shut behind him, and the mirrors began to pulse. One by one, the faces turned to look at him. He screamed, but the sound was swallowed, and then the whisper came, just like it came for me. Pick one, or be worn. He picked the mask nearest him, a smiling clown face cracked down the center. He put it on, and his scream turned to laughter. Not his, not human. He walked out with a crooked grin and empty eyes. Another puppet, another body for the watchers. The park's hunger. I don't think Halcyon wants souls. It wants identities. It devours who you are, erases your place in the world, and then replays your life with a stand-in wearing your skin. The thing that left in my body, it goes to my mother's house. It logs into my social media. It lives in my apartment. But it isn't me, and no one knows the difference, because no one remembers I ever came here. The rides are alive tonight. The coaster screamed again, not from the rust or the wind, from something beneath the tracks, something with breath. The Whirligig's clown car spun without stopping, leaking a thick red fluid that steamed when it touched the ground. The stuffed animals at the prize booth turned their heads to follow the new man as he walked past, and the shooting gallery. He didn't want to play, but the guns raised themselves, fired on their own, and the targets, they bled. My cage, I still ride. Cart 9, up and down, round and round. Sometimes I see my reflection in the lights of the park, but it's not me. It's older now. It rots slowly with every turn. I feel the parts of me unraveling. Memory goes first, then language, then sensation. Soon I'll be just another mask on the wall, another scream in the tunnel, another whisper in the clown's mouth. But not yet, because something inside me still wants to fight. And when the next fool steps into this place, I'll try to warn him, even if it costs me what's left of my soul. Final ride. The man, whoever he was, came to the Ferris wheel, just like I did. He didn't see me. He saw the version of me that lured him in, the one that looked alive, the one smiling next to the cart, inviting him in with open arms. He got in, cart 9, and as the wheel began to turn, I felt my chains loosen. A new soul, a new ride, a new replacement, and for a moment, I was free, but I didn't leave. I didn't run, because I saw something in the shadows, deeper than even the rides dared touch. The park's heart, beating under the soil, feeding on us, dreaming new horrors. It's growing, and the longer I remain, the more I understand it. The park isn't haunted. The park is alive. It learns. And now, it knows your name too. If you hear the music, if you ever pass through upstate New York and hear carnival music in the trees, if your headlights catch a faded sign that wasn't there a moment ago, if your reflection lingers longer than it should, keep driving. Don't stop, don't investigate, because Halcyon remembers you now, and it's saving a seat. Cart 9 is waiting, and it only swings when it's hungry. Part 3. Burn the park. The horror escalates. The past returns. The park fights back. My name is Danica Wells, and I'm the only one who made it out of Halcyon Park in 2002 with my sanity intact. That's what the doctors called it. Sanity. I call it a curse, because I remember everything. Jordan disappearing mid-laugh on the Ferris wheel. Caleb standing frozen in front of the funhouse, tears running down his face, while his reflection smiled without him. Marcus screaming until he had no voice as the mirrors inside the clown coaster showed versions of us, rotted, smiling, hungry, and me. I ran. I never stopped running. until last week. The VHS package came in the mail. No return address, no postage stamp, just a box with my name written in faded red marker. Inside a VHS tape, labeled Cal 9. I didn't want to play it, but of course I did. The video was grainy, static chewed through the screen, but the footage was unmistakable. Caleb, sitting in the Ferris wheel, over and over, one ride, then two, then 20, never blinking, and behind him, the shadows shifted, watching, smiling. Then the screen cut to black, but not silence. A voice came through. Finish what we started. Back to Halcyon. I told myself I was coming back to destroy it, to end the thing that took my friends. But some sick part of me also wanted to see if it was real, if I'd made it up to protect myself all these years. It wasn't. The fence was still there, sagging with age. The entrance gate still bore the words, "Welcome to Halcyon, where the laughter never dies." Only now, the letters bled rust, and below them, scratched into the metal, "Burn US." The match I brought: gasoline, 2 canisters, a lighter, and a sledgehammer. I thought it would be enough. I didn't realize that the park feeds, and when I stepped through the gate, it woke up. The calliope music began to play, but now, it sounded wet, like lungs gargling. Every light bulb flickered to life, even though there was no power, and the rides moved, on their own, like they'd been waiting. The rides fight back. I poured the first canister on the carousel. The horses turned their heads. One of them spoke, its voice layered with static and agony. "We remember your scream." I dropped the match. It caught briefly. The flames licked the paint, bubbled it. Then the fire went out, like it was suffocated. The carousel roared. The poles began to twist. The horses screamed, not in fear, but in anger. One lunged forward, snapping its wooden teeth inches from my neck. I ran. The maze of mirrors. I didn't mean to go back into the funhouse, but the park changed around me. The exit vanished. In its place, a narrow hallway of mirrors, tall, cracked, some dripping what looked like mercury. They reflected me, but not right. One version was covered in burns, another was eyeless, a third wore Caleb's smile. They all whispered the same word, "Stay." Then the mirrors cracked, and the reflection stepped out. I fought back. I used the sledgehammer, smashed the first one in the face. It screamed like metal tearing. The others followed, arms too long, movements jerky, like old stop-motion animation. Their mouths never closed. I lit the second canister, and hurled it into the hallway, lit a match. The glass exploded, fire roared through the funhouse, and the reflections burned, shrieking, as they curled into ash. I ran, breathless, burning, screaming, and behind me, the structure collapsed in on itself, one down. The Ferris wheel waits. It stood untouched, pristine even. Cart 9 swayed gently, like it knew I was coming. I could hear him now, Caleb, whispering in my ear like radio static. "Burn it all, Danny, but not before you see." "See what?" I screamed. The cart descended slowly. Inside something sat, not Caleb, but his face, melted, stitched at the edges. A patchwork of all the people the park had taken. It looked at me, it grinned, and it spoke in hundreds of voices. "We are the park now, the heart of Halcyon." The ground beneath me cracked, the soil breathed, and then it opened, like a wound, a tunnel beneath the Ferris wheel, dripping, breathing, lit by strings of lights that twitched like nerves. I went down. I don't know why. Maybe because I knew the only way to kill it was from the inside, underground. It wasn't earth down there. It was flesh. The walls pulsed. Screams echoed from every direction. Some familiar, some mine. I reached the core, a massive beating organ, half mechanical, half living. Wires ran into it like veins. At its base, hundreds of faces, pressed into the wall like flies in amber. Caleb's, Jordan's, even Marcus, all staring, still alive. "Free us," they begged. "Burn the heart." I did it. I poured the rest of the gasoline, lit every match I had. Through it all, the fire caught, the core screamed, the ground shook, the faces melted, and above me, I heard the rides grind to a stop. One by one, the music died, the air turned cold, and I blacked out. Now I woke up in the woods outside Halcyon. The park was gone, not burned, not crumbled, gone. No one believes me. No one remembers Halcyon, not even my parents. It's like the park was erased. But sometimes when I close my eyes, I hear the music, and I see Cart 9, still swinging, still waiting. Part 4. The park rebuilds itself. The final ride is never the last. Narrator, Sam Halbrook, 28 years old. Occupation, structural engineer. They say you can't bury what doesn't want to stay dead. I didn't know anything about Halcyon Park when I got the call. It was just a job. Some anonymous investor bought a massive plot of forest land north of the Catskills and wanted a full site survey. Said they were planning to build a nostalgic Americana carnival experience. They even had blueprints, vintage-style coasters, Ferris wheel, funhouse, all retro. It should have been a dream gig, easy money, until I saw the layout, the blueprints. At first glance, it all looked normal, but as I traced the lines, unease crept up my spine. The paths curved in a familiar shape, subtle but unmistakable. It wasn't random. It matched the layout of a human heart. Rides placed like ventricles, tunnels like arteries. At the center, labeled only as the core, and at the top of the plans, written in childlike scrawl, "Welcome back. We missed you." That night, I had my first dream. The carousel horses turned their heads to watch me. The mirrors breathed, and the Ferris wheel whispered, "Cart 9 is empty." The construction crew, I wasn't the only one uneasy. The workers joked at first about creepy trees and vanishing tools, but the laughter died when the first guy disappeared. His name was Eli. One moment he was digging a foundation trench, next minute, he was gone. No noise, no blood, just his boots, steaming, as if he'd stepped out of them mid-stride. We halted the project for 24 hours. When we returned the next morning, the trench was filled in, perfectly smoothed, like no one had ever touched it. We asked who refilled it. Nobody had. The reappearance. Eli came back on the third night, wearing the same clothes, same muddy boots, but his face, it was stretched, like something had learned how to wear it, but didn't know how it fit. He stood just outside the lights of the construction trailers, didn't speak, didn't blink. When the foreman approached him, Eli grinned and said, "We're building the right, but it's building us too." Then he vanished again. The mirror-sipping container arrived the next day. No return address, no record of it being ordered. Inside, hundreds of antique mirrors. One was 7 feet tall, topped with gold leaf, and stained with what looked like smoke. The glass shimmered like water. No one could remember who signed for it, but it was installed anyway, at the entrance to the park. When I looked into it, I didn't see my reflection. I saw the face of a woman, screaming, on fire. She mouthed a word, Danica. The name returns. I googled her. Only one match, Danica Wells, missing, presumed dead, 2009. But buried in an old blog was a single post from a local conspiracy site. Girl claims Ferris wheel in haunted park eats souls, then disappears. There was a grainy picture. She looked terrified, holding a canister of gas. My stomach dropped, because behind her, faint but clear, was a sign, "Welcome to Halcyon." I tried to leave. I packed up my gear, deleted my scans, and drove hard. But the GPS stopped working 20 minutes outside the site. The road looped. Every time I turned around, I ended up back at the parking lot. And now the gate had a new sign. Workers must clock in to clock out. My name was already on the list. The night watcher. I've stayed in the trailer for 3 nights now. Every night, I hear the calliope, soft at first, then louder, like it's circling the trailer. Last night, I looked out the window. Cart 9 was there,
just the cart, sitting in the middle of the dirt lot, gently rocking, the seat wet with something thick, something dark. I blinked, and it was gone. The park rebuilds itself. We aren't building anything. We're just moving dirt, and the park is growing beneath us. The land vibrates at night. The rides move inches closer each morning, and the lights, none of which are connected, glow red after midnight. Eli isn't the only one now. 3 more crew are gone, 4 have come back. Wrong, too clean, too quiet, and their eyes never meet mine. The final blueprint, I found a hidden layer on the map, encrypted, buried beneath the core. It's a single chamber, label, the ride never ends. Inside faces, hundreds of them, names listed in looping red cursive. At the bottom, reserved, S. Halbrook. If you're reading this, I've uploaded this message to every backup I can find. I'm leaving one printout in a lunchbox hidden in the woods, near mile marker 16. If anyone finds this, don't come looking for me. Don't follow the lights. Don't trust the reflections. The park is almost finished. The park is almost finished. And once it's done, it will open again, with new rides, new faces, and one empty cart, still swinging. Part 5, Opening Day. When the gates finally open, they don't close. Narrator, Benji Moreno, 35 years old, freelance journalist, and live streamer. I expected a dusty ruin, a cheap cash-in on an urban legend, but this was polished, perfect. The grounds were spotless. The rides gleamed with fresh paint. Neon signs buzzed like they had heartbeats. But the weirdest part, there were no staff, no ticket booths, no security, no one scanning passes, just people walking in, wide-eyed, smiling, like they were remembering a dream. I tried to ask someone where the owners were. They looked at me and said, "We all work here now." The park feeds. The moment I passed through the turnstile, my phone battery dropped to 6%. It had been at 94%. All other devices died instantly, except the live stream, still going strong. Viewers spiked. Then the chat stopped. At first I thought the stream froze, but the counter kept ticking. People were watching. They just weren't responding. Attraction 1, the Mirror Mile, a corridor lined with chrome panels that distorted more than just shape. I looked in one mirror and saw myself being eaten. My flesh curled like burnt paper. Something stood behind me, tall, grinning, with my face sewn over its own. Another mirror showed my mother's living room. She sat on the couch, sobbing. My live stream played on the TV. I wasn't in the frame. Something else was. Something that looked like me. Attraction 2, the Ferris wheel. Cart 9 wasn't on the map, but it was there, waiting, swinging, unoccupied. The ride was full of people, but none of them talked. No one laughed. They just sat, rigid, wide-eyed, like they'd been stapled to the seats. I got close to cart 9. It stopped in front of me. The door creaked open. Inside, the seat was soaked with something black and pulsing. I backed away. The cart slammed shut. The whole wheel groaned like something inside it wanted out. The announcer suddenly. The speakers crackled to life across the entire park. A voice played. Not a man's, not a woman's, something in between. Too many tones, too many mouths. Thank you for joining us on opening night. Please remain in the park. We've been so hungry. Screams echoed from the food court. The popcorn machine spewed teeth. The cotton candy spun itself into lungs. People started melting, not from fire, from forgetting. One man looked at his hands and cried out, "What's my name? What's my name? What's my name?" Then he crumbled to ash. The core awakens. I made it to the center. The core, an artificial heart the size of a carousel, beating beneath glass, faces pressed against the inside. Some I recognized from online missing persons reports. Others were subscribers, chat moderators, friends. They whispered through the glass, "Don't stream it, don't feed it." But it was too late. My stream had 4.7 million viewers now. The more people watched, the louder the park got. It was feeding off attention. It didn't want to kill me. It wanted me to broadcast. The fire doesn't work anymore. I tried to destroy it, pulled the emergency gas line, lit it, flames erupted, and the fire turned cold. It froze the air. Time bent. The fire became a living thing, crawling up the walls and forming figures out of ash and smoke. They whispered in unison, "Cart 9 is waiting." The final broadcast. I'm in the staff tunnels now, under the park. The reception down here should be impossible, but the stream is perfect, clearer than ever. My face is breaking up on camera, glitching. I can feel something climbing inside my skin. The walls pulse. I hear Caleb's voice, Danika's too, Eli, Sam. They all say the same thing. If you don't stop the stream, they'll open another park, in every town, every mind, every mirror. But I can't stop. I'm not the one holding the phone anymore. It is. If you're watching, you already opened the door. You let them in. Check your mirror. Check the corner of the room. Do you hear the music? If you do, it's too late. Cart 9 is on its way, and there's only one seat left. I didn't believe any of it. The live streams, the burned VHS tapes, the forum threads, the girl who lit herself on fire, screaming about rides that dream. I laughed like everyone else, until the day my niece came home from school, holding a flyer. "Look, uncle," she said, "a new carnival is coming next weekend. Halcyon something." I took the flyer from her hand. It was wet, freshly printed, but smelled like dust and blood, and on the back, in small writhing red letters, "One seat remains for the final guest. Day 1 arrival." The park appeared overnight, in the old rail yard, where nothing had stood for 40 years. No construction crew, no permits, no locals saw a thing, just blinking lights, music in the wind, and the Ferris wheel, already spinning, even though it wasn't connected to anything. My mistake. I told myself I'd debunk it. I wore a GoPro, had holy water, salt, a crucifix, a Glock. None of it mattered, because Halcyon doesn't kill you outright. It asks you to stay. The park is inside you. The guests were already hollow. Every smile was stretched too wide. Every child looked too still. Every reflection showed someone just a second behind you. The announcer's voice echoed through speakers, radios, even my phone, even when it was turned off. "Thank you for joining us. You've been chosen. You are the last guest, and you must finish the ride." They showed me the others. Danny, still smoldering in the fire maze. Sam, trapped in a booth where every question from the game show host was a memory he'd forgotten. Each wrong answer removed a finger. Benji, the live streamer, stitched into a jumbotron screen, endlessly broadcasting. His face looped like a test, mouth frozen mid-scream. They looked at me. They begged me not to join, but my name was already on the wall, written in ash, in my handwriting. "Cart 9 is empty." I ran. I broke into the ride control room. Every lever pulled itself. Every screen showed me, walking toward Cart 9, even though I wasn't, even though I was hiding. A voice like bone-grinding glass said, "You're already on the ride." And then I was. The final ride. Cart 9 is different. It's warm, wet, alive. The bar locked without my touch. The wheel turned, not up, but down. We descended into the dark sky. The world flipped. The park vanished. All I saw were the faces of the forgotten, pressed against the glass sky, screaming without sound. My body stayed behind, but my mind was now part of it. The park, the entertainment.